Coming up next on Red Apple 21, Profile focuses on Luther Jackson Intermediate, a school rich in history, academics, and diversity. See how Jackson's 7th and 8th graders are preparing for their transition into high school as we take a look at some of this intermediate school's special programs, next on Profile. Luther Jackson Intermediate School, located on Gallows Road in Falls Church, is a Fairfax County school rich in history, academics, and diversity. Our program will focus on these three areas as we take a look at this unique school and the exceptional educational opportunities provided to its students. Luther P. Jackson School first opened its doors in 1954 as a school for black students at all grade levels. The school was named for Dr. Luther P. Jackson, a Virginia State professor and noted black historian. George Felton, former South Lakes High School principal, was a teacher at Jackson during the school's early days.
I was appointed at Luther Jackson in 1954 as a teacher. I didn't come aboard at the beginning of the school session. I replaced the teacher in November 8, 1954, and I taught civics and physical education, coached football, basketball, and baseball. We had an enrollment of approximately 400 students. I guess around 32 teachers, I'm not too sure of that number. We were a small school, but a very friendly school, a very close school, the staff and, of course, the students. And we felt that we had a very good student body, although a very small student body. And they did accomplish.
Mr. Felton also mentioned that prior to 1954, a high school for black students did not exist in Fairfax County, and he feels that it is important for everyone to remember this time in history when the school was just starting out, and all of the people who contributed to its success. He also feels that it is important for students attending Jackson today to be aware of its rich heritage. Today, Luther Jackson Intermediate is a school bustling with activity. The school is known for its emphasis on academics, as well as its culturally enriched student population. Teachers and administrators at Jackson strive to provide the best educational opportunities possible for the 7th and 8th graders attending school here.
The atmosphere at Luther Jackson is very conducive to learning. We stress academics at Luther Jackson. We teach a wide range of subjects at Luther Jackson, ranging from algebra, French, Spanish, and we have GT classes at Luther Jackson. The students are grouped in the GT classes in social studies and English. However, the academic atmosphere in all the classes at Luther Jackson is excellent, and we do provide for the education of all students at Luther Jackson. The students really enjoy this school. They have, the discipline is fine, the community support is excellent, and they know that when they come here that they will get a good education.
Students at Jackson today have the advantage of attending a school that was originally designed for high school students, so they have the benefit of larger classrooms, an industrial arts shop, a large gymnasium, a classroom for art instruction, and a large library. The school also has a large auditorium that is regularly used for school board meetings, and for this reason, Jackson Intermediate is often the focal point of many county-wide activities. These excellent facilities, however, are only a small part of the total educational experience provided to each student at Jackson. As an intermediate school, it also provides a good transition into high school.
As principal of Luther Jackson, I have to make sure that when students come to Luther Jackson, that it is a good transition period for them. I only have them for 2 years, at Luther Jackson. Therefore, I must make sure that their academic work is up to par. At the same time, this is the first time that students have ever had to change classes 5 times, because here they have 6 classes, and we don't march them to class, we don't march them to the cafeteria. They have to be on their own, so I have to teach them responsibility, and this is the first time that they've ever had at least an hour and a half of homework. And it is the first time that they are responsible for getting to school on time, they're responsible for getting to classes on time, they're also responsible for doing their homework and taking the work home for their parents to see. We don't march students at Luther Jackson to class and to other places. We have to teach them responsibility and get them ready for high school.
Jackson Intermediate provides a good transition into high school in many ways, one of the most important being in the area of academics. Let's look at a few of the academic programs, beginning with an overview of computer use across the curriculum.
Computers are the wave of the future. Therefore, I know that in order for students to achieve, they will have to have a general and a basic knowledge of computers. Therefore, at Luther Jackson, we use computers in the math classes, we use computers in the learning disability resource classes, we use computers in the science classes, and I'm one of 4 schools in the county that has a Project Lit computer lab. In Project Lit, we stress word processing, because we know that this is very important for students because they have to do research papers, they have to write letters, and we want to make sure that when they leave Luther Jackson and go to high school, that they have the skills in order to use computers and to use them in a way that would benefit them. Therefore, we stress computers in all classes at Luther Jackson. Next year, I plan also to add more computers to the science department. And I really, at this time, would like to thank the PTA, because in the past, they have been so good to Luther Jackson by buying us many of the computers that we have. And I really think that we have as many or more computers than any other intermediate school in the county. And the students in this community really benefit from the computers that we have at Luther Jackson. And it shows when you look at our SRA test scores and the achievement of our students at Luther Jackson.
As Mr. Wilson mentioned, the school is involved in a program called Project Lit, which involves the application of computer-related techniques in areas such as mathematics, science, word processing, and the writing process.
My name is THERESA FARRELL. I'm an English teacher here at Luther Jackson Intermediate School. This room is our word processing lab. Luther Jackson was selected 3 years ago as a Project Lit site. Project Lit means learning improvement through technology. And it was an experiment, first of all, by the federal government, who funded us with 6 computers and printers and disk drives so that we could see whether, using this technology, improve the writing of our students. And we have found that it certainly does.
The teachers feel that their students are learning to write better and turning out more polished final drafts. The teachers are also finding that word processing is a useful tool in their own work.
As a teacher, I find them useful for my own purposes. I'm personally glad that I've learned to use computer technology. I was a little afraid of it at first, but I found there's nothing to be afraid of, and it's certainly something that adds to the curriculum here at school.
This lab now has 24 computers, and teachers regularly bring their classes in to work on writing assignments. For students at the intermediate level, working with computers has proven very interesting.
The students at the intermediate level are very much interested in using computers. I think they see this as the technology of the future, something that will prepare them for careers in any field that they might want to go into. And they are getting varied experiences using them in math. They are going to be getting more computers in science as well, and as well as English. So they're getting a well-rounded experience in the use of computers and their applications.
As Ms. Farrell mentioned, students at Jackson are also using computers in mathematics. In this lab, students apply computer-related techniques to problem-solving strategies in the mathematics curriculum.
The thrust of the computer literacy program for our math department is to use the computers as a problem-solving tool. It's only one of the 6 strategies we use throughout the year to approach problem solving. Presently, the students are working independently on projects where they've chosen a problem and they need to write a program to solve the problem. These problems come from the objectives that we've used throughout the year. They seem to be very successful at this and enjoying it thoroughly. Oh, you wanted to repeat the question?
Yeah, like if it's a radius, and it goes to the it says like how wide is the radius. If it's a diameter, it goes how wide is the diameter. But when I printed it, it keeps on saying that then is wrong.
Oh, when you typed it in?
Mm-hmm.
Did you find one similar to it in your book?
Yeah.
Where is that? Well, our textbook is designed to be incorporated with the computer, and so throughout the year they'll have programs that demonstrate the use of how to use the computer as a problem-solving tool to solve these problems in different units. Okay, I notice here, notice this line number. Is it before or after this one? Before. What's happening here?
After.
It's after. So what if you moved?
So I should type this one and then I should...
Then try that and see how it works when you run that one.
Many intermediate students use computers in writing and mathematics classes, but at Luther Jackson, students also apply computer technology to classes in industrial arts. Teacher Bob Becker has implemented a program using computers in virtually every area of his industrial arts class.
The Industrial Arts Department at Luther Jackson is quite unique. One of the main goals is to keep up with technology, and through the use of the computer, we do that. Everything from the students' safety rules, project costs, inventory, drafting is computerized. In the shop itself, we work with metalworking, plastics, and woodworking. 8th graders are primarily work with metal, where the 7th graders work with plastics and wood. All classes work with drafting.
Mr. Becker feels that by using computers in his class, students can produce more accurate and creative work. He also believes that the computers help him in instructing the students.
In Luther Jackson, when we use the computer, I teach at the desk and utilize the 2 television sets to help instruct them in drafting. I'm able to show them how to move lines, restructure shapes, whereas the other industrial arts classes, that's not available to them. When a student is working on a machine, if it's unclear to him, instead of coming over for me for instructions, they can go to the computer, which will free me up to work in the back on student projects.
The use of computers at Luther Jackson Intermediate is helping its students develop skills in writing, problem solving, design, and many other areas that serve to benefit them now and in the future. Preparing students for the future is the main consideration behind many of the school's academic programs. In the area of reading, for example, the school has implemented a program to promote reading for pleasure through its Sustained Silent Reading program, an effort which includes members of the staff as well as students. Principal Earl Wilson explains.
Research will show that students at this age only read about 4 minutes per day. When I read that research, it triggered something in my mind, and it said to me that if we're going to improve the academic achievement of students, we must get them to read more. Therefore, my students at Luther Jackson have to read 30 minutes of silent reading every Friday. And the reason for that is that we get them started on a novel on Friday, and it is my hope that they will take that novel home and finish reading it on the weekend. And because if students read a wide variety of material, they will do better in classes. And this is my goal, is to make all the students read more. Therefore, they will know more, and they will be able to achieve more in school.
Certainly, the sustained reading program has increased our circulation, but has also increased the interest in books. Children are becoming involved in books every Friday, and they're not returning them when sustained reading is done. They're actually taking them home and reading them, and our circulation has definitely gone up.
This increased interest in reading has made the school's library a focal point, and fortunately, Jackson's library, which once served high school students, is large enough to accommodate special reading activities.
One of the things that is unique about this library is the actual setup. Luther Jackson, as you know, has been a school that served a population from kindergarten through high school, and the library shows it. We have some shelving that's low for the young children and others set up for the high school children. One of our aims has been to make this place an attractive, appealing atmosphere for students. We really stress making sure that they feel welcome in here and want to be in here and work. One of the programs that we've been stressing this year has been the book talks. It started out to be an informal program. The reading teacher used to give informal book talks in his classroom, and I would give informal book talks here in the library. Since then, we have become a little bit more regimented about it. We've been incorporating other disciplines in giving the book talks. It started with the English department, where they would give book talks here in the library, and since then we've expanded so that there are across the curriculum book talks, and teachers in every discipline do give book talks to their children throughout the year.
Exposure to new material is important not only in reading, but also in other classes, such as foreign languages. At Jackson, intermediate students have the opportunity to take a foreign language class as an elective.
My name is Margaret Rolls, and I teach Spanish 1 and Introduction to Foreign Language. Spanish 1 is the same class that's taught in the high school, and the Introduction to Foreign Language is a class for 7th or 8th graders, introducing French, Spanish, and German so that they can make an intelligent choice about the language which they're going to study. Probably 25 to 40% of all students at Luther Jackson do take either Introduction to Foreign Language, Spanish 1, or French 1.
In the Spanish class we visited, students had learned the basics of the language and applied their skills to a special activity, an original spoof of a popular daytime soap opera, which took place in a hospital operating room.
Dios mío! ¿Dónde está la policía? Pobre Marcos! No puede ser.
Oh, ayúdame, por favor.
Cierra la boca. Pobre Marcos.
By beginning a foreign language at the intermediate level, students are able to get a better understanding of classes they might like to continue in high school. In addition to the required courses and electives such as foreign language, students at Luther Jackson Intermediate also have the opportunity to take part in the band program.
Here at Luther Jackson, we have the concert band, which is the top band in our school. First period every day. We have 4 days, Monday through Thursday, that we meet, and that's 55 minutes in that period. And then we have a special reading schedule on Friday, which is 48 minutes. In addition, we have a beginner band program, and we also have an intermediate group. And this first period band is the top group. We're also part of, as I said before, a pyramid experiment. We have 3 directors involved up and down the Falls Church pyramid system, and we teach at all 3 levels, elementary, intermediate, and high school. Mr. Corey, who's involved also today with our band, is primarily based in the elementary level, with giving help here at Luther Jackson Intermediate, and also has a class at Falls Church High School. I am primarily based here at Luther Jackson. I teach 1 class at Falls Church, and then I do several elementaries each afternoon. in the week. And Mr. Hebert, who is primarily the director of the Falls Church High School Band, also has an elementary school and lends his assistance to us several days a week.
The band performs at several concerts throughout the school year and spends time in class preparing for these events. As Mr. RITTMAN mentioned earlier, band students at Jackson have the benefit of learning from more than one instructor working within the school's pyramid. This allows teachers to share their expertise and provide students with more continuity as they progress from the elementary to the intermediate and on to the high school music program. Jackson Intermediate School is noted for its strong academic program, which includes all of the elements of a well-rounded education. The school is also noted for its diversity in special student activities and in the student population itself. The school has a strong ESL, or English as a Second Language program, to support its multicultural student body. The ESL teachers often work with other teachers in the school to coordinate shared activities which benefit all students involved. When we visited Jackson's ESL classroom, several students modeled clothing from their native land and gave a brief presentation on the country and customs to a visiting writing class.
My students in writing class enjoy doing creative writing, but many times I think it's very important that they base their writing on real-life situations. And today, Mrs. Steiner's ESL students provided some of this information for us. Some of the students brainstormed for writing ideas yesterday and came up with such writing assignments as a news story based on what actually happened today, feature stories about one or more of the girls and their native countries, a story set in the country based on fact but could include some fiction writing, a typical day in the life of one of these students in her native country, and maybe just a summary or research, a summary or report based on what was told today. And I think it's very important for this cultural exchange, the appreciation of the countries, and to show the students that we are interested in their lives and where they come from.
And the capital of Vietnam is Hanoi. This is my costume, and people used to wear it for a long time ago and like go to the church wedding. But in the recent years, young people haven't wear it very often because it's too difficult, you know, for you to move or sit or like walking, something like that. So they, like American teenager, they used to wear jeans and shirt and t-shirt.
This costume is very popular in Brazil during the World Soccer competition. Everybody wears it during a game where Brazil is playing. It's also a part of Brazilian's flag. The blue means the sky, the stars are the states, the yellow is the gold, and the green are the forests. Schools in Brazil start at 7 o'clock in the morning and ends at 12 o'clock. Some people can go to school in the afternoon. It will start at 12:30 and finishes at 5 or 4:30.
Units like this enrich the curriculum for all of the students. And our English as a second language students are very pleased when they can take part in a unit like this, in which they can intermingle with students whose primary language is English, in which they could communicate and share ideas, and they actually can become a resource for those students whose language is primarily English. We've annually have taken part in an extensive gifted and talented international unit, which has always been very beneficial to all the students. And this year, one of the things that we did for the first time, which was very, very successful, was the social studies students came and interviewed on a one-to-one basis our English as a second language students. And that was very good, because when they finished interviewing my students turned around and interviewed them. And everyone really was enriched by this experience. It's a very rewarding time when students can communicate and share and intermingle and be involved and bring out a good product.
In addition to being a school rich in cultural diversity, Luther Jackson Intermediate is also rich in the diversity of activities offered to students. The school even published a handbook listing all of the after-school activities available to 7th and 8th graders. One activity is the Creative Crafts Club, whose membership is open to all students. The club is the result of the combined efforts of the art and teen living departments. The group meets once each month and rotates activities ranging from food preparation to art projects.
I'm NELLA NEARY. I'm the teen living teacher here at Luther Jackson. At the beginning of the year, the art teacher, Mrs. Poppin, and I decided that we would like to have a club that would sort of combine both departments. Some of the aspects that children who are taking many of the academics and other courses and other electives that are not involved in our classes could participate in this. So we formed a creative crafts club that meets like once a month in various departments, and we meet 1 month in the art department and 1 month in the teen living department. We try to rotate activities that are related to art and related to teen living. We've done some projects that hopefully will catch the interest and can be completed within the one period time length, so that children will go home with a completed project at the end of this time. They're doing the Pretty Flowers today. In the fall we did a foods project where we made cupcakes inside of a ice cream cone and they decorated. So they're having some art and teen living kinds of experiences too.
Faculty members at Jackson feel that the exposure to extracurricular activities helps provide a good transition into high school and helps students make choices about which activities to continue in their later school years.
I think extracurricular activities are wonderful and a part of every middle school child's program. They extend their interest. They need to be involved in many kinds of things. They need to be subjected to every kind of problem, fun thing, and so when they get into high school they can narrow their interest down. They need to see many, many things and be involved in them. This is one way that we can have them in many kinds of activities and let them see the things that they can do and cannot do, and maybe would later like to narrow in on those kinds of things.
Another after-school activity open to all interested students is the Newspaper Club, responsible for publishing the Jackson Connection.
All right, I'm Ross Johnson, and I sponsor the newspapers and the staff for Luther Jackson. We have a circulation of about 600. That includes the students who buy the newspaper, as well as samples that we send to other schools, feeder schools, as well as other intermediate schools throughout the county.
I'm Becky Malevany, editor of the Jackson Connection, and as the editor, I have to think up some of the ideas for stories with the help of my staff and the sponsor, Mr. Johnson. And then I have to assign them to each individual person. I usually end up writing about 2 or 3 stories per newspaper. And I also have to edit some of the stories that come in from people outside of the staff. And a lot of times I'll help people on the staff with their stories if they're having trouble.
From their after-school work on the newspaper, some of the students have decided to continue the activity in high school.
I think that working on the newspaper has given me some idea what journalism is like, and I've enjoyed working on the newspaper staff, so I think I'll probably do something with it in high school.
As you have seen from this profile of Luther Jackson Intermediate, the school provides a smooth transition into high school due to its unique combination of history, academics, and diversity. Students can be proud of the school's 33-year history and its historical past in Fairfax County education. They can be sure that the academics program, offering everything from basic skills to new technology, has prepared them for high school. And they can be more appreciative of different cultures and new experiences that were a result of the 2 years spent in this school. Luther Jackson Intermediate, a combination of history, academics, and diversity. And in the Fairfax County Public Schools, a winning combination for the future.